Hello, today is the anniversary of the death in 1963 of C.S. Lewis, best known of course for his Narnia stories, but also a widely respected Christian writer and theologian. And he describes how he was bullied as a child by a teacher, brutalized really. It sounds really very unpleasant. And he says that he found it very difficult to forgive the teacher and struggled for years and years and years to do that, knowing that that was what he ought to do, but he just couldn't. And then in due course he decided to try the technique of saying every day, I forgive you, with this teacher in his mind. And so he did this, using this mantra every day, until gradually he began to feel differently about the teacher. He says, every time I used those words, I forgive you, a stone was removed from the wall of bitterness, until I discovered that the wall was no longer there. It was a reminder to me of the value of forgiveness and the struggle, the difficulty that comes along with the challenge to be forgiving. Some things are easy to forgive, but there are things that happen to us which we find really, really difficult, especially when the person concerned is not at all penitent for what they've done. But we need to do it. And what interested me particularly about the way C.S. Lewis describes this experience is the fact that he describes it as a wall of bitterness. And I think when we fail to forgive, the wall is there holding us in. It's like a cage. It prevents us being free because we're gripped by the bitterness, but by the sense of having been hurt and offended, and we cling on to that, and that encloses us and makes us restricted in our feelings. Whereas if we can dispose of the wall of bitterness using C.S. Lewis's method, if that's helpful, or others, but just to struggle until we find that we can forgive. If we do that, then we're setting ourselves free from that burden. We're doing ourselves a favour, not just perhaps improving the possibilities of our relationship with the person who we need to forgive. And I think we need perhaps to focus on that as an incentive to forgive, because sometimes there isn't a lot of incentive to forgive somebody if we're just doing it for their sake. But if we're doing it for our own, to set ourselves free from that bitterness, then I think we can put more energy into it, and using Lewis's method or another to find that by struggling and eventually learning to forgive somebody for something, we can set ourselves free.